This illustration captures the operational nightmare of safety failure. The 20,000-pound fine sits beside a checklist reminding the manager to meet legal requirements. You can see why it's necessary as we scan across daisy-chained power strips and unattended fire hazards. Beyond keeping people alive and uninjured, formal safety structures carry distinct secondary goals, like improving overall business performance and reducing insurance premiums. But a manager staring at a complex facility faces an immediate tension. Prioritizing these dangers across multiple departments requires an objective system, not subjective guesswork about what looks the most dangerous. The solution to that tension is anchored by a single central equation. Risk equals the likelihood of an event occurring multiplied by the consequence of that event. Translating visual, chaotic reality into this precise mathematical formula is how effective facility management actually works. To apply this math, we first have to correct a common industry error. Far too many organizations use the terms hazard and risk interchangeably. A hazard is an intrinsic property. It is a piece of machinery, a chemical, or an environment that simply possesses the potential to cause harm. Consider this. A hole in the ground is a prime example of a hazard. By itself, it is completely stationary and isolated. A hazardous event requires interaction. It is the specific moment a person or an object physically encounters the hazard, turning that latent potential into action, like someone tripping over the edge. Harm is the tangible outcome of that interaction. That means bodily injury, death, or measurable damage to physical or mental health. Finally, we arrive at risk. Risk is a calculation. It is the probability that the hazardous event will actually occur, combined with the severity of the resulting harm. Treating a latent hazard the same as a calculated risk wastes critical safety resources. You only intervene if the interaction is probable and the consequence is severe. To calculate that risk, the industry relies on a strict 6-step protocol. Step 1 begins with mapping exactly what you are responsible for. Assessors must walk the physical layout, sketching location boundaries, shared corridors, and stairwells. We also map the demographics, marking down exactly who operates in these zones, isolating vulnerable populations like trainees, expectant mothers, and contractors. The map must also track shared, permanent, and temporary equipment. If 2 departments share a lifting mechanism, the protocol requires exact assignment of responsibility. With the boundaries drawn, we move to step 2, actively identifying the specific hazards within those bounds and detailing exactly who might be harmed. This requires cross-referencing field observations against hard data. Assessors comb through past accident records, read manufacturer safety sheets, and conduct direct interviews with the floor staff. Completing steps 1 and 2 establishes rigid geographic and demographic boundaries. Without these constraints, the mathematical formulas that follow have nothing to anchor to. Step 3 is the estimation protocol. This is where qualitative observation converts into semi-quantitative data. Consider a local firm dispatching window cleaners. Once a month, they use a ladder to reach the windows of a 3-story building. To apply the core equation, we must answer the first half of the formula. How likely is it that a worker will fall? We calculate this by evaluating specific operational variables. Check the stability of the ladder, the physical condition of the rungs, ambient lighting levels, and the worker's chosen footwear. This diagram illustrates the 3-point scoring system for likelihood. A low score of 1 correlates to pristine equipment. If equipment degrades, the score climbs. We assign a medium 2 if falls are fairly likely, and a high 3 if damaged rungs make it highly probable. Standardizing the likelihood this way strips away subjective fear and operational complacency. It replaces a gut feeling with a measurable, comparable metric. Next, we address the second half of the core equation. If the window cleaner actually falls, what is the severity of the outcome? Specific variables dictate this score as well. We look at the total height of the drop, whether there are fall stops in place, and what kind of surface the worker will land on. This graphic applies the 3-point system to the fall's consequence. A low score of 1 means minor injuries requiring first aid. As height increases, the score climbs. An injury requiring hospital care gets a medium 2, and major injuries max out at high 3. With both numbers locked in, we move to step 4, evaluating the overall risk by plugging our estimated metrics into a formalized matrix. This is a 5-5-5 risk matrix. It scales probability from 1 to 5 on the y-axis and severity from 1 to 5 on the x-axis. By multiplying the two variables together, we generate a specific risk heat map. The result is a definitive numerical hierarchy. The issues with the highest calculated scores demand immediate operational intervention and capital resources. Step 5 is recording the findings. A brilliantly calculated matrix is operationally useless if it goes undocumented. A proper risk record requires mandatory fields. You must log the details of the assessor, the exact time and date, and the specific locations, people, and equipment evaluated. Crucially, you must log the newly calculated risk level directly alongside the control measures that are already in place. This side-by-side comparison reveals immediately whether your current safety protocols are actually adequate. This brings us to step 6, reviewing the findings. A risk assessment is a living document. Physical environments change, and the accuracy of any assessment degrades over time. Certain events must trigger a mandatory review. Bringing in new equipment, hiring new personnel, discovering new technical information, or experiencing a near-miss incident all require the matrix to be recalculated. Strict documentation and continuous reviews take safety from a static, one-time audit and turn it into an active operational feedback loop. Implementing this 6-step protocol requires acknowledging a harsh truth. The goal of this system is not to eradicate every single hazard in a facility. Achieving a state of zero hazard is a mathematically impossible operational goal. This is why we rely on the foundational equation: risk equals likelihood multiplied by consequence. That formula provides an objective lens for managing reality. Effective facility management is the systemic, mathematical prioritization of threats based on hard data. True safety compliance is achieved by taking limited capital and operational resources and deploying them exactly where the calculated risk dictates they are needed most.